All right, we're off to a good start.
I don't know why you decided to change your whole numbering scheme this episode.
I'm keeping you on your toes, Ben. It's a podcasting trick. You got too stuck in your ways. We're shifting it around, Ben.
Yeah, you gotta keep it dynamic.
Dynamic, like tectonic plates.
I was gonna say like the shattered earth. Because this is Words About Books, and I am Ben, and he is Nate, and today we are talking about the 5th season, Book 1 of the Shattered Earth series by N.K. Jemisin.
Yeah. The 5th season. So you know how normal planets they have their 4 seasons, right? You got winter, you've got false spring or fool's spring, whichever you want to call it. You got summer, and then you got the never-ending summer that dramatically plunges into coldness right at the very end. Those are your 4 typical seasons. But the 5th season on this planet is death.
Construction.
Yeah. It's the broken glass fallacy. That's the 5th season.
I have a brief about the author, since this is the first N.K. Jemisin novel that we have covered, not the first one she's written. But you might be interested to know that N.K. Jemisin is one of yours. She got her bachelor's in psychology.
I didn't get my bachelor in psychology. My wife did, but,
But she did work, I know you don't do this, but she did work as a counseling psychologist and a career counselor. She got her master's in education. And
I'm sorry.
After working as a career counselor and a counselor in general, I think, she decided to see if these novels she'd been writing were worth anything. And as it turns out, they were. And she won a Hugo for this one.
God, that must be nice.
To have your novels be worth something?
Yeah, that sounds great.
It does. I guess you just have to put in a lot of effort and actually take the time to query with publishers and agents and
write good stuff too. I think that's where we stumbled first.
I'll tell you where I stumble most these days is just writing at all.
Yeah, I have been struggling the last month. Yeah,
but she did, and here we are. And I think I remembered reading she wrote this or came up with the idea at some writing workshop set up by NASA.
Ooh, okay.
NASA wanted to get together a bunch of sci-fi writers and pair them with scientists who could answer all of their questions. Because NASA, I guess, got frustrated with the general public being somewhat misinformed by the fiction they consume about what science is. And N.K. Jemisin, she has a bit of a sense of humor, for as dark as the book is. She said something about how creating sentient stone people probably wasn't what NASA had in mind. But nonetheless, she came up with this idea.
Well, what if we land on Mars and sentient stone people attack? Now we'll know how to fight them. Or die, I guess, is usually what happens.
I was going to say, I think we might
we'll
have
know
to
how to be murdered by them pretty easily.
But yeah, so we decided to jump in with I don't know if her other books have won awards. I don't know why the 5th season has been on my radar for so long. I've seen this recommended to me like a million times.
I didn't even know it was on your radar, Ben. Honestly, I thought you're like, I need some book picks. The Maid, the 5th season. All right, got a break for lunch now.
I picked the 5th season because a lot of people had recommended it to me, and I never got around to reading it on my own because it always seemed like kind of a bummer.
Wow. See, I did not know it was a bummer going in, but I found out pretty goddamn quick.
You didn't read the back of the book then?
No, Ben. I audibled this.
Okay, well, that's
and I have to read it anyway. I don't need to read the back of the book. I'm just going to dive right in and find out what happens. Spoiler alert, child murder is what happens almost immediately, followed by a human extinction level event. So,
So,
yay!
the other thing I had seen was N.K. Jemisin. There's like master classes that the one that Alan Moore was on that I keep forgetting his name
Gordon
whenever I
Ramsay,
try to mention it.
yeah.
Gordon Ramsay, yeah. N.K. Jemisin has a master class.
Oh my god.
And in the ad that was all over YouTube for it, it starts off with her reading the first line from this book that let's start with the end of the world and move on to more important things or something. And she's talking about how to do like an attention grabbing beginning. And I was like, that is attention grabbing. So
Yeah, it's a lot better than our opening.
yeah, it is a lot better than our opening. We
So
should have
much
taken her
better.
master class.
Yeah.
We should take her master class, see if we become better writers.
Where was she 10 years ago when we were writing Eden? That would have been real helpful.
I don't know when she published her first story. She might have still been 10 years ago. I think she was going. But she also wrote a series of books that I initially was thinking about reading, which is about different cities in America that sort of come alive as some Lovecraftian or cosmic terror consciousness. And so as I was reading about those, a lot of people said like it's not her best. And they kept saying the fifth season. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll start with the best, see if I like her writing, and then if I like it, I'll go back and I'll check these out. And that's how we got to the fifth season.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize there was actually a process in that. I honestly thought you were just like, yeah, that one and that one. All right.
I always have a process. Everything I do is thought through carefully and thoroughly. So, it won a Hugo. Do you know what a Hugo is?
Yeah, Dr. Fucking... God, why am I blanking on... I want to keep saying Chad Dingleton, but it's Chuck Tingle. I know I get those are very confusing. Probably the same person.
Yeah, one of them
Chuck
is definitely
Tingle
not a ripoff
almost
of the other.
won. Yeah, one of those isn't a ripoff of the other, Ben.
No, one of them isn't.
I
One of
will
them
have
is.
you know. I will have you know that I was ripping off the Space Ninja when I came up with that name. Thank you very much, Duke.
J.K.
Wellington or
Duke
whatever.
Lagrange.
Yeah, that guy.
You know what I
was
finally
like-
figured out when we kept saying like, is it Lagrange or Lagrange? No one cares. This is season 1 stuff. It's Lagrange, like Lagrange point.
Lagrange point.
That's what.
Yeah,
That's what he was talking. I had no fucking idea.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. I just thought it was a dumb name. So
All right.
NK
So-
Jemisin she won a Hugo. If you don't know, the Hugo is like the Oscars for books.
Are they just as important?
I think the Hugo, yeah, they are probably just as important.
Okay.
This is the one, the award ceremony, I think, where George R. R. Martin messed up every, for lack of a better word, ethnic name, and everybody called him a racist.
If there's a Joffrey or a John or a George in there, you know he got it right. If there's anything outside of ye old England, you're better
Don't
off
quote
just
me on
getting
this.
someone else.
I know he mispronounced R.F. Kuang's name. I think he said Quang.
And here I am again with another envelope. The winner of this year's astounding award for Best New Writer is Rebecca Quang. Rebecca Quang, congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
He could have. I don't know. He could have.
they gave him a pronunciation. This is why he
Or-
got called a racist, because they gave him a pronunciation guide, and he did not read it, clearly. He just went up there and winged it, and that was not a good time. It was not a good look. Headlines the next day about what a racist George R. R. Martin is. And he's not a racist. He's just old and, reads
Well,
really
be careful,
slowly.
Ben. You said that Frank Herbert might be open to progressive
I-
ideas.
yeah.
You don't know. You don't know if we're gonna crack open Game of Thrones 6 in definitely a year for real this time. If it's just gonna be a bunch of N words in there, you don't know that, Ben. You
It's
don't
just
want
a
to.
swastika.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't get Winds of Winter published, because they keep rejecting his racist rhetoric. Oh Christ, no.
Oh, all right. So you want to start with the end of the world and then get on to more important shit?
Let's start with the end of the world and get on to more important shit.
All right. So, a dude and a statue creature walk into a bar. I'm kidding. They walk into a city, and dude is like, I think I'll trigger the Yellowstone supervolcano. Boom! And he fucking annihilates the city. And the end. Let's go on to the main character now that that's out of the way.
So everything I ever heard about this book, and the reason I put off reading it for so long, is if you had read the back of the book, if you had done
Absolutely
your proper
not,
book
Ben.
research.
Ben, do I do extra reading? No, I don't do extra reading.
No, you don't.
Maybe they should put the back of the book in the front of the book, Ben, so I can read it.
They should put the back of the book. They do with books with book jackets.
Yeah.
Usually the back
I
of the
remember
book
having to
is
make
on the
book
front
jackets,
cover.
and
Yeah.
I hate them so much I don't want to do them anymore.
But sometimes they do, Nathaniel. So everything I had heard was that this was a story about a woman whose husband had murdered her son, kidnapped her daughter,
Yup.
and she had to chase him across an ending world.
Yup. Sounds about right
And
so far.
Yeah, and I had never been like in the mood to read that.
Yeah, me neither, Ben. In fact, I got taken out of the book pretty fucking quick when she's holding her lifeless son's body in her hands, and I'm like, yeah, no. I tell you, I wasn't a big fan of child murder before, but ever since having a kid, I really am not a fan of it.
You're not supposed to be.
I definitely just kind of tuned out the first chapter or so.
You're not,
you
like,
know?
I don't think the book is advocating child murder.
Yeah, but I can't even do it, Ben.
Well, it's a part of life, Nathaniel. People murder
Yeah,
children.
a shitty part of life that I don't want to recreate in my books.
Well, N.K. Jemisin did.
Yeah,
That's
that's why she's an author and I'm not. Maybe
that's why
Edenverse
she's-
need more child murder.
I did think about that a little bit, because that was the other thing, was like I knew it won a Hugo. And you know the thing with the Oscars of like, you're much more likely to win an Oscar with Schindler's List than Avengers Endgame.
The Full Metal
Because-
Alchemist.
Yeah. It's they like depressing shit.
Yeah.
The book is heavy. It is
Yeah.
really heavy.
Every time that I started to get into it, it was like, nope, fuck you, Nate. And it did the old Court of Thorns and Roses thing by punching me in the face and locking me in the dungeon. But it kept doing it, Ben. That's the it just kept doing it. Like, every time, it would let me out of the dungeon and be like, I won't do that again. Bam! And it punches me again, Ben. Just every time.
Yes, there was a lot of heavy bummer stuff. And
Yeah.
I do think it's worth mentioning that there are some content warnings here. I happen to think it's a very good book. I happen to think it's worth reading. But, like you said, child murder. Don't laugh, Shy.
Jesus.
We're talking about dead children.
You should laugh, Pat. You're right.
No, you shouldn't. She murders more. Well, so she murders a child, and then her husband murders a child. It's all pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, child murder. That's a content warning. And then we also have forced birth.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, like, dubious consent, non-consensual stuff.
Yeah. You
Nothing-
want to talk about the lobotomy, Ben? The lobotomization of children? You want to talk about that part too?
I was going to say torture and mutilation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's to put it
Torture and
lightly.
mutilation as well. That is to put it lightly, but I think you would know from that. I was
Yeah?
reading the book for the first time with you. I didn't know, or I would have warned you. I would have discussed it with you ahead of time, but I didn't know. In fact, you got to many of those things before I did.
Yeah, I finished it before you. I was there, Ben. I was there.
What I didn't know, and what a lot of previews, synopses, or whatever don't give you, because they can't, because it is technically spoilers, is that this is also a really well-crafted secondary world story.
A
And I
secondary
think
world story.
secondary world, that's how Jemisin describes it herself. But that's a term I think Tolkien came up with to describe what Middle-earth
The
was.
secondary and the primary world.
Yeah, it's an Earth like our Earth, but it's different in a few ways. And the Earth of N.K. Jemisin's Broken Earth series is one in which the Earth is seismically unstable. The earthquakes and seismic events frequently trigger near extinction level events, like 10 years without sun.
Yeah, I wasn't joking about that 5th season being death.
The 5th season is death. That's
They
the
typically
whole thing.
name the 5th season like, oh, that was the season of the acid rain, where it just rained acid for years. Just non-stop acid.
The season of teeth was my favorite season.
Have to stockpile all your fucking food so that when shit hits the fan in a very hard way, you'll have enough food for your calm, as they call it, to survive for years.
And in this world, there were previous civilizations that were more technologically advanced, and they have long gone extinct. And no one has really been able to build stable civilizations since, because they're reset to zero so frequently. But one civilization has managed to come as close as anyone has in a long time. And that's the main dominant country on this, called
Humanus?
Humanus.
I'm going by the audiobook.
Oh, okay, yeah, please. If you you know how to pronounce things better than I do, then.
That's where the fulcrum is, which is full of you call them, I guess they're origins, but they're basically what, geomancers. They control the ground and among
kind of
other
like
things.
Earthbenders, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. They
Earthbenders with a more realistic exchange of energy, yeah.
Yeah, they have to take energy in order to shove it into the earth, so they can also freeze shit. That take the energy. A little interesting thing. I liked that. I liked the systems, Ben. I liked most of the lore. I hated all of the other stuff. The child murder, especially. This is the weird thing where I can say, I think this is a really good book. I think it's really well written. I think that a lot of our listeners might get something out of it, and I could recommend it to a group of people. But I would give it a low score in the personal preference. It's one of those weird ones. I think objectively it's good. Subjectively, not my thing. I'm good.
That's totally fine. I think that is a perfectly valid opinion. But the one thing I want to make clear, and you haven't said this, I just want to point it out for people who have listened to our episodes in the past, is we have been critical of books that sort of go for shock value when they've got not much else. I don't think that's what Jemisin is doing. I think the brutal realities of surviving in this world lead logically to all of this horrible stuff happening.
Yeah, this wasn't the Southern Book Club's guide to slaying vampires.
It doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not like it takes a few really dark turns out of nowhere, and Scooby and the gang have to deal with trauma.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to point out.
The tone of this book is very consistent. You don't think at any point that this is going to be like a happy fairy tale and then you get shit on. This is a pretty realistic, grounded, like, terrible world you would not want to live in type thing.
Yeah, so at this point, I kind of want to say, spoilers from here on out. I think spoilers could ruin this one, but it can also be enjoyed if you know what's coming too. That being said, you now know enough to know whether or not this would be something that you can't stomach. And I would just add one more thing. If you're on the fence, this is probably one of the highest rated books from me for this year.
Oh my god.
So I'll dangle that out there. I really like it, but I will acknowledge that everything you're saying is totally accurate. I don't think it's gratuitous, but it is, and this is a pun, a stone cold bummer. There's not a lot of joy. The one thing I'll say is, for me personally, my curiosity about the world and what exactly was going on was enough to drive me through some really dark stuff. Probably the last quarter of the book, I think I read all in one sitting because I just wanted to know where the hell this was going. What are these obelisks and what are the stone eaters and what? Show me the stone lore tablets. And I wanted to know everything about the world. And I don't get that way very often. I think most world building is incredibly shallow. Like Dune, I think has shit tier world building. For as much as I love that book.
You didn't think D-Wolves were some high quality?
No. No. I think a lot of world building sucks. I am not really... there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, read this generic fantasy series because it has amazing world building. And it's just like, oh, it's another D&D world heavily inspired by Tolkien. Great. Okay. Yeah. Awesome magic system, bro.
That's why you gotta do Morrowind.
Okay. The video game. Yeah. I like video games.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Morrowind,
books.
Ben. But mod get the complete
when they do an HD remaster of Morrowind, I will consider it.
That's never going to happen. That is never going to happen. All right. So, I guess I also should ask Ben, how do you want to tell this story? Because the story is told, I would say, it's 3 different people, but it's actually the same person with 3 different names across time periods. Spoiler alert.
Jemisin tells the story from the perspective of a single woman at 3 different points in her life when she underwent major changes that basically made her a new person. And it is the sort of thing that could easily come off as a little too artsy, but I think she pulled it off in a way that was super satisfying, because I think we all do feel like that at some point. When you're looking back at your life, you can draw clear markers between like, okay, in high school, I got into this and I really sort of changed who I was. And, you know, in college, I met this person and I was never the same after that. And
yeah, I've declared pretty much everything before the age of 25 as non-canon, so.
Non-canon? Okay, that's fair. Does that count Edenverse?
Unfortunately not.
Really?
That was the life-changing event. No, I'm kidding. But...
Oh. So the 3 perspectives are Demaya. Correct me if I'm wrong on these pronunciations, because okay. I didn't read the audiobook. Demaya, Cyanite, and Essun.
Yep. The
book opens with Essun's perspective, and for all intents and purposes, I think Essun is the present person. This is this woman's oldest incarnation.
Person, present tense, your favorite.
I really did not care for it, even in this, I got to admit. But she did make it fade into the background for me. I did stop noticing it after a while. And one of the other things that kind of irked me at the beginning was Jemisin's sense of humor. There's a lot of sarcasm in the narration, a lot of like ironic detachment. And because we're dealing with such heavy shit, sometimes like I wasn't really, even I wasn't really jiving with it. Like when you're, there's no room for joking in some of these situations. But as the book went on and I got to know this person from the different perspectives, it started to feel right. I started to understand that that's kind of like the cyanite coping mechanism. She had to develop that sense of detachment and maybe like dark humor to survive. So even the present tense second person maybe reluctantly enjoyed. The other two perspectives, I can't remember. I think they were both still present tense.
No, they were past tense. Essun is the present, Ben, so that makes the other stuff the past.
Okay. I think
Checkmate.
that's smart too. No, I think that's smart. I like it. I'm glad you noticed. Because really, the book started to all just blend for me. It doesn't take you very long to realize that it's the same person from three different perspectives at three different times in the world's development. And once you do figure that out, it's really interesting. And the different ways of naming the character and the different styles of inner monologue the characters have really make you get their headspace. But so yeah, the story starts with Essun, the present one, finding out that her son has been murdered by her husband, beaten to death.
Yep.
Because her husband found out that he was... Is it origin?
Yes.
I was saying it orogeny in my head the whole time.
And later they call it orogeny, and I was like, please stop saying that.
Please stop touching my erogenous zones.
Yeah. So yeah, she finds out her husband murdered her son and kidnapped her daughter.
Because if you have the power to move the earth, you have the power to kill with a thought basically anyone around you in a 10 to 300 foot to, if you're alabaster, global radius.
Yep.
So they're afraid, somewhat understandably, but Essun stands there, or sits there really, cradling her dead son for days until somebody finally finds her. And they only really find her when the earthquakes that the mysterious individual has kicked off reach Essun's village, and she stops them with a thought. And for a circle perfectly centered on Essun's house, there is absolutely no destruction. She saves her entire village, and they are one of the few.
You're welcome, by the way.
They do deal with this, I will say. Like, for most of the book, I was like, how does nobody see the value in this? How are people not competing for these guys? But it's complicated. There are people who see the value. There are people who maybe see a little too much value and ways to maximize it. But Essun eventually decides she's going to have to leave her village. I don't remember exactly at which points things cut around. But I'm going to kind of like pause there and say that as Essun is leaving her village, they're in a season now. So the village is going into lockdown, which means nobody in or out.
Except for like the old and infirm. They can go out.
Yeah, they may get thrown out. So Essun is going to go ask for permission from the village headman to leave. Permission which he grants. She's leaving to go after her husband, who she finds out has taken her daughter with him. Her daughter also possesses this power, but it's unclear if the husband knows that or not.
I think he does. I think that's why he took her.
I think he might not, because I don't know why he wouldn't have just killed them both then.
Because it's okay to beat on a son like a crazy person, but beating on a daughter, that's a bridge too far even for crazy people who beat their children to death.
I don't know. I think if you'll murder a child, you'll murder a child regardless of gender.
Maybe he calmed down after he was done beating his son to death, and he was like, now I can rationally
Whoopsie
think
daisy.
about not... Yeah, you win some, you lose some. My bad.
Yeah, but I don't know. Either way, she left the village alive, which gives Essun hope. She has to follow. And so she sees the village headman. The headman is not a dick, but he understands the realities of the situation. He understands that he can't keep the other villagers from making this an issue. So
Yeah, it's going to be really bad if your superpowers that allow you to save our village from destruction are allowed to stay here. So get out immediately, because otherwise the villagers are going to try to kill you and probably fail horribly. Hey, why are you holding that crossbow up?
Yeah, so as she's trying to leave, they, for some reason that I guess is just pure prejudice, decide to shoot at her.
I bet we can take her if we use a crossbow.
So D&D group logic. They shoot, and the DM says roll for initiative. Now you were expecting that this was going to be like a quick kill. So that roll for initiative kind of took you by surprise, as did the immediate critical death of the entire party. Esun summons some grade S orogeny, and she ices. So the way orogeny works is you draw energy from a source and redirect it into the earth. And the energy she has chosen to pull is from the people, plants, animals, all the heat from around her. So she immediately takes all the heat from their body, flash freezing everyone who was attacking her and a few people who weren't, and she throws that energy into the earth, smashing their well, ensuring that this village will die.
Got
They
him.
will not survive the coming season. And I think a part of you is just kind of like, finally, after you've watched this woman like just go through pure shit. And Esun is like, when she starts out like this meek, mild, just trying to get by, you know, trying to stay out of everybody's way, and you're like, why? You could kill them with a thought, and maybe some of them are worth thinking about, you know. But
That's
yes,
not
she
the
finally,
way, Ben.
yeah, so she finally ices him, and she leaves, and she sets off after her daughter and her husband. And we'll pause Esun's story there for a little bit.
Yeah, do we want to just knock out Demaya's story, or what?
Tell me Demaya's story.
So Demaya is the first of the Esuns, I guess what you'd say. She was born
Demaya is Esun's birth name, yeah.
Demaya, born to a bunch of dirt farmers, Ben. And they found out she was at school, minding her own business. Some jackass comes and pushes her. Now, in our world, I would be telling my daughter to see if the teacher's looking, and if they're not, you pull a roll of quarters and you bash that kid right in the fucking face. Try to break his nose. That'll stop him from pushing you in the future. Okay? Fuck that kid. But instead, it is implied Demaya fucks this kid up with orogeny. Just instinctual. I'm guessing she kills him. It's never really explained.
She
Child
didn't
murder is
kill
a
him.
thing that happens in this story, though.
It is
so
explained.
he's probably
She
fucking
doesn't-
dead.
It is explained. She doesn't kill him.
Well, she
but
should have.
She realizes after she does come very close to killing him. She starts draining the heat from everything around her, and it is the look of absolute terror on everyone's face that sort of stops her, makes her realize that she's doing this, and she doesn't like it when people look at her in fear.
Yeah, Ben. That's why she didn't start icing people as Esun. You jerk.
Cyanide maybe doesn't
Cyanide's a
mind people
different
looking at her
person.
in fear. Okay.
Different person, Ben.
Okay.
Cyanide
telling
was
me
born
about
to a
Demaya.
pre-fifth season world, okay?
Okay.
Alright.
Uh,
So, Demaya, her loving parents don't beat her to death on the spot, but they decide to lock her in a barn. And then they call for a guardian, who I guess have some sort of, I'm gonna guess, like Scottish accent or something. Some sort of
We know how good you are with
British
accents.
Isle accent of some kind, Ben. So
Is it the North again?
I'm pretty sure it's the North British Isle, aka Scotland, Ben. So anyway, Guardian comes out. Guardian, whose name I've already forgotten. Crap.
Shaffa?
I think that's how they pronounced it too. So he comes along and he's like, hey, I'm a Guardian. We're the good guys. So you know we're good. We're here to protect the world from, your people. Let me tell you a story about an emperor who was threatened by one of your disgusting, horrible people, and like the first
You're
ever
leaving out-
Guardian who defeated him.
You're leaving out the part where the book sort of tricks you. When the Guardian initially meets Demaya, he's incredibly nice to her. Very
Yeah.
kind. And he's
Yeah.
incredibly mean to her parents, pointing out what backwards idiots they are for treating her this way.
Yeah?
And you think maybe, just
no, I don't. Nope.
maybe,
I sure don't. You started with child murder. I don't trust anything you do.
maybe this guy's okay.
He's not.
He's not.
Yeah. He tells her this story, and then he's like, well, we're gonna see if you can actually control your power. I know you're a little girl and you just kind of want to like live your own life, and you're like, I can control my power. And he's like, oh, can you now? Well, I'm gonna slowly, methodically put pressure on your hand until I shatter the fuck out of it. And you're gonna have to control yourself, or I'm gonna fuck you up worse. And he does that. And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna bandage you up. We cool, right? So just remember, you never say no to anything I say. You do what I tell you, and you'll live if I don't think you're a threat. Probably. Like, there's also the possibility I'll just fucking kill you. But like, yeah, you'll live if I don't see you as a threat to society.
I think you're simplifying it. I think you're simplifying his evil too much. I think that in his own weird way, he actually thinks he's helping her.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's the good guy too, Ben.
Not just that he's the good guy. I think he thinks he cares about her.
Yeah, he's her guardian, Ben. He's guarding the world from her, and also he's her legal guardian, kind of.
But also he's guarding her from the world. He sees it as a two-way relationship. He doesn't want to kill her. He doesn't want her to give him a reason to kill her. But if she does, he will kill her without a second thought. And that's what makes him creepier. Is it's not just like if he hated her and was just waiting for a chance for her to step out of line, that would be one thing. But this is like some creepy distortion of love. And also,
But Ben, in a world where there's a button where 1 in 10 people can push it and detonate Yellowstone, don't we need people who beat those people up on a regular basis? Shout out in the comments below if you think that the Guardians are totally justified.
I am
See you later,
absolutely not saying that the Guardians are totally justified. The Guardians are a terrible system, but what makes them creepier is the perversion of love that they have.
Hey, they smile a lot. That means they're good people.
We will find out that the Guardians have a power to negate orogeny. They can shut down her powers.
Yeah, if you start shaking your orogeny at them, they'll give you the bad touch, and bam.
I'm going to
no
call it
longer sexy.
earthbending from now on.
I do have in my notes, orogeny sounds gross.
They have the power to take away her earthbending. And while she doesn't give him a reason, he's basically a guardian. I mean, he's kind of the only person she knows, and she can sort of count on him.
Yeah. count on him to fuck her up.
Well, that's the most fucked up thing of all, is obviously that's not what love is, but you're a little kid. You take what you can get.
Obviously. Love is baby, don't hurt me no more. Everyone knows that. I guess not in this world. They didn't have that. So then she's taken to what's called the Fulcrum, which is earthbending wizarding school, but real, man.
It's like earthbending boot camp.
Yeah.
You're given a uniform, you're assigned a haircut. You're
called a grit because everyone has a stone name and you're just a gritty piece of shit. And you're supposed to be training to get rings. Rings denote your power and your level of freedom. And you need to get those by proving that you can be reliable and you can control your powers and shit. So part of being a grit, pretty much all of being a grit, is learning the system, falling in line, and then learning how to, control your powers so you don't freeze everyone in a 20-mile radius and force the Guardians to come murder you.
If you fail, no one ever hears about you again.
Yeah. Not surprising at all. So, let's see. There's not a whole lot going on in the school. There's 2 parts I remember that are important. She trains day in and day out. She's mastering her powers. And then one time, she gets out of the shower, her shoes are gone. And she's forced to go in a lineup, you get called to attention when your instructor comes into the dorm. And, oh, what's this? You don't have shoes? That's a demerit. And then another time...
That's a foot scrubbing. They scrub the soles of your feet raw.
Yeah. Yay. Thanks. So, that'll
You're
teach
welcome.
you not to have shoes, you fucking idiot. So, next, you're eating this food. It tastes kind of weird. Oh, I'm feeling really warm and, dizzy, man. Oh, my God. Yeah, so someone spikes her food.
Starting a book podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, so they spiked her food with alcohol, and she starts trying to get a book podcast going, and the teacher's like, whoa, no book podcasting around here. Come here before someone sees you, because they'll kill you if they find out you're drinking alcohol. That's strictly forbidden. And so Demaya's like, I think someone's fucking with me. And she's like, okay. There's this guy who is, overly friendly with me. And
Well, he even came up to her table, and he's like, hey... I'm the hot guy. You know how these things go. I ask you out, but it's a trick, and then you feel really bad about yourself, but then eventually you let your hair down, you take your glasses off, you realize you were pretty the whole time, and then you put me in my place, and you start going out with that nerd who was your best friend. And she laughs at that because how ridiculous. But that's actually exactly what he's doing. And so, when he starts talking to her, that's the signal for everybody to start fucking with her.
Yeah, so she's like, I bet he's part of the problem, but I need an ally. Let's go to the one person nobody else likes. Let's get her involved.
Crack.
Everyone thinks, yeah, crack. Yeah, they're
Which
all
is
pretty
an
sure.
awesome nickname. If my friends would call me Crack, I'd be all about that.
All right, I'll remember that, crack.
Thank you. Boulder.
The Boulder. That guy was awesome from
The
from
Boulder
Avatar.
disagrees. A lot of this gave me major book 2 Earth vibes, you know?
Yeah, right down to the bummer, except it's just nonstop bummer. So
It's like if Toph's parents, instead of sheltering her, smothered her in the crib because she was blind.
yeah, wonderful stuff. So yeah, she's crack. I think they're calling her crack because she's gonna crack. You know what I mean? She's eventually gonna lose control of her powers. Everyone's just kind of betting on when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? I got it down for next Tuesday. Whoever's the closest without going over gets the big pot of money. You got it down for 4 months from now, so I'm kind of hoping she cracks. Yeah, get it? She cracks in the next week. Otherwise, I'm going to miss out on all that money I put in.
I was
So,
going to say the next full moon. Wait, what is a moon?
baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
There you go.
So, yeah, Crack is like, so it's come down to this. You have to associate with fucking losers like me. Yeah, I'll help you out. I'll figure out who's fucking with you. And for some reason, Crack does, because turns out Crack is the one fucking with her, Ben.
Okay, no, I gotta tell this part. So they come up with a plan, like right out of High School Musical or some shit. I've never seen High School Musical. Like Olivia Rodrigo, though, she puts out good music. So they decide that Demia's gonna be in the shower, right? And people are fucking with her or whatever. While she's in the shower, all the girls are in the shower. Somebody's gonna take her shoes. It's Crack. What Crack's gonna do is she's gonna take the shoes and she's gonna put them in Pretty Boy's bunk, trunk thing, whatever. And then she's gonna go accuse Redneck Boy of taking her shoes. And then when they order the
he's
inspection,
like, I didn't do it this time, and he's like, oh shit, I probably said too much just now.
No, I'm gonna set this up like gold. Don't let me do it.
All right, fine.
And so that's the plan. And so she comes out. She's like, where are my shoes? And everybody's like, oh, it's happening again. She goes up to the redneck guy. She's like, you took my shoes. Where are my fucking shoes? And he's like, I didn't take your shoes. And she's like, you took my shoes. And the teacher comes in. She's like, this guy took my shoes. He's like, are you sure? Because if you ask me to check these people's trunks and they're not in there, you're going to get so much more punished. And Demaya thinks about that for a moment. And she says, it might not be him, but it has to be a boy. All the girls were in the shower. And then they look in Pretty Boy's trunk. There are the shoes. And Pretty Boy flips shit. He's like, I didn't do it this time. He did it last time. And he points at the redneck. He's like, he did it last time. And the redneck's like, no, it was all her idea. And he points to Crack. It's like, Crack's the one that put the alcohol in her cup, which is way worse. And Crack is like, oh, you little bitch. He let some old pervert feel him up and like put his fingers all up in him in exchange for that alcohol. He got that alcohol. So then the teacher is like, they take them all away. And then the teachers come back, they cut open Crack's bunk, they pull out a flask, she had the alcohol. The kid gets sent to the colonies or whatever. Crack is never heard from again, and Pretty Boy is traumatized. You're traumatized too, I guess, but I'm sitting there like imagining myself as Demaya. So we're all clear. That's what happens when you fuck with my shoes.
No, my question would be, why the fuck did Crack help me?
that is a valid question.
Crack's plan was, I'm going to sabotage the teacher's pet so that focus is taken off, me. Everyone's waiting for me to crack. You get it? That's why they call me Crack. So, like, maybe we get Demaya in trouble instead, and then presumably no one thinks about me, I guess. Yeah. Brilliant, Crack. And then, why does she go along with this plot to screw over Pretty Boy when they could just implicate Crack in all these crimes?
I don't think
Crack is very smart.
I think Crack thought she had plausible deniability. I think Crack thought that the whole I know you allowed a dude to molest you thing, I think she thought that secret was so deep and so dark, he would never risk her outing him. And that was a miscalculation.
Yeah. That was a fatal miscalculation, some might say.
She probably is still alive. I'm
yeah,
sure she
if
got
you call
lobotomized.
that worth... Yeah, exactly. If you call that worth living. No, Crack is dead, Ben, and now she has a different name. Cracked.
Good one.
Yeah, fucking got him. When they write the story of Crack, they'll tell it from two perspectives: Crack and cracked.
Let's talk about the second one.
All right, so months, I assume. Is it months or years? It's probably years go by. Demaya is just kind of exploring around the university, and one time they're getting in line to go back to the dorm, and just like random girl just steps out of a bush, gets in line. Demaya's like, "What the fuck?" And she like gives Demaya the old wink and a nod. And when they get back to the dorm, she's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And they're trying to play all coy, like, yeah, is that really the question you want to be asking? Who the fuck are you? Yeah, that is the question I want to be asking. Who the fuck are you and why are you here? You better tell me, or I'm going to start yelling for the teachers, and they can earthbend. So, just think about that. Think about what that's going to do to your fragile little bony body, you little dick. And she's like, wait, hold on. I am a big, very important, big leadership lady, okay? I'm a huge, I'm a big shot, okay? And
Binoff Leadership Eumenes. That's how they do their names, by the way. It's your given name.
Bang. But yeah.
Your given name, your use cast, which is like your profession, and the location you are from. So Binoff Leadership Eumenes signifies that this person is basically a princess.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo. Get the fuck out of my college. But wait. I need to find some sort of thing that I shouldn't know about. There's like a big old chamber in the middle of the fulcrum. Have you ever been in there? She's like, no. There's actually no chamber, but actually, now you think about it, I've never been in there, and we weren't told it exists, but like,
I can get you there.
Feel the absence of it, right? Like you could feel the shape around the thing. You just can't feel it itself. So she's like, you gotta help me, or just let me find it on my own. And they're like, you know what? I like your moxie, kid. Let's do this. And they start wandering around the school. Beanoff is being like just like the most touristy tourist. Like, come on, you got, bro. You gotta look like you belong here, okay?
Act like you've been there, jeez. Girl.
Yeah, you're acting like you just got here, which, granted, you did, but like, you gotta not act so suspicious. People are gonna take a second look at it and be like, "Who the fuck is that? I don't remember that person being here before." Gotta act like this is just another leisurely stroll in the college, alright? So, they wander around, they find where a door might be. It's a bunch of offices, guardian offices, I think. And, no one's home. So why don't we just, lockpick. Now, Beanoff keeps getting really low rolls on the lockpicking skill. Like, just 2, 3, 2, 5, 2,
bruh.
Just
I've seen somebody do this.
Failing.
I've seen somebody do this once before. I'm pretty sure I know how to do it. You just stick the lock and you jiggle.
I had a friend who was constantly looking shit like that up on the internet and then professing to be like a master. Like, oh, look at the cool stuff I learned. It's like, yeah, that's really great if you got, like, if you know the lock, which you do because you bought the lock, and if you have this practice setting and you don't have to do this in a hurry. Really cool. He got a lockpick set.
You know what's a lot easier is you just get like like wire cutters. Gun.
Yeah.
I think we might be trying to achieve two different goals.
Yeah, no, he is always doing stupid shit, like he hacked an old vending machine, and I don't know, maybe he got a free soda, or maybe he just figured out how much stuff was in the machine. Whoop-de-fucking-do. So yeah.
Okay. This is, I can see why you struggled with this part, yeah. brought up a lot of painful memories.
Well, this is the guy who we all think is going to be or is a cult leader, so...
Oh, that guy.
Anyway, Beanoff.
Wasn't he the one that smelled colors or something?
Yeah, he was always trying to be, like, super unique. It was fucking annoying. He could see colors, that's what it was. And it's like, okay,
I can
don't
see
actually...
colors.
Or no, you're right. That's stupid. You're right. He heard colors. That's what it was.
There you go.
I think what it was is he heard music and then he saw color emanating from the musical device, which I don't think was real. But if it was real, you should probably no. You're just trying to be a hipster douche, which he was. So
mission accomplished. Just like a Beanoff, hipster douche.
Beanoff is over there, fidgeting inside the lock.
Beanoff is being off in another direction.
Beanoff is jiggling in that lock, and while they're doing that, they're humming a jaunty tune and seeing colors emanating from their mouth. And they're like, "Don't worry, I saw this in a book or whatever, and if we get caught, I'll just be like, hey." My name is Beanoff, and I'm here to say I'm from the leadership cast. I don't care what you say.
And she's even doing that little white man shuffle I know you're doing. Not like lawnmower from side to side, like.
So after like an hour, the DM of the world, aka the author, is like, you got in that time. And Beanoff is like, you sure? I rolled a 4. Yeah, no, you softened up the lock for the last hour. You're in, okay? And they're greeted with an empty fucking office. And Beanoff is like, damn it, you fucked me. You fucked me. I can't believe... And Demaya's like, shut up. Hold on. Yeah, no, this closet over here, not very deep.
You know what they didn't think of that I thought of that the author rewarded me for thinking of? Why are the lights still on? Somebody just stepped out. They're coming back.
Yeah.
But the kids don't realize that, because kids are stupid.
Well, maybe Beanoff could jam the lock in the door and break it, and they can't get back now.
Sorry, Demaya. This was a suicide mission.
So they bust into that closet, and then they're like, oh my god, it's a giant thing. Oh my god, it's a big old... What the fuck is it? I can't even remember. It's not another obelisk. They called it the socket.
It's a hole that obelisks come out of.
Oh my god.
And it's got like...
It's a hole that shits out obelisks.
It's got pins in it.
Like a turtle head coming out of its shell.
No, it's more like a dry dock for obelisks. It's got these pins coming out of it that an obelisk would plug into.
And Beanoff is like, hold on, I can lockpick this shit. But before Beanoff gets the option to start just wriggling around and diddling this hole with her lockpick, a guardian comes in and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And Beanoff is like, yeah, hey, I'm a leader. Leadership class. I need to be here. Take me to your leader.
There's a perk of my background. Whenever I get in trouble, I can just leverage this and get out of it.
They're like, well, that's good, because otherwise you'd both be fucking dead right now.
Otherwise you'd both be dead instead of just Demaya.
Yeah. And then they're like, all right, kids. Yeah, well, here we are. And hey, Beanoff, let's go talk. You go talk in this office over here. We'll come back for Demaya later. Definitely you're going to hear from her again. She's not about to be fucking murdered. And then the Guardian is just, like, talking weird shit. Like, it's not even her that's talking. It's someone else talking. And Demaya's like, I don't even know what you're saying. And she's like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't know what is happening. And that's when Shafa, you remember Shafa, he comes in. He's like, oh, I see what's wrong. You gotta turn her off.
You gotta turn it off.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he shoves his finger into the base of her skull. He rips out like a rock or something that was implanted in her brain. She's super dead in front of Demaya. He gives that to another Guardian. The other Guardian's like, damn it. Not another one. All right. Well, we'll just clean up
This-
this mess.
So yeah, the Guardians, by the way, this comes out like in the intervening chapters. They are modified to do what they do. There's some sort of surgical procedure that implants something at the base of their skull.
Yeah. And sometimes it makes you speak gibberish that no one else can understand but the person who's speaking through you. And that's when you gotta turn them off.
Kind of like there was like an antenna installed in them.
Yeah.
And something hijacked the signal.
Yeah. And then Shafa's like, all right, come here, child. I gotta tell you something. You gotta do your first ring test now. You thought it was gonna be in a few months, maybe, but nope. Gotta do it now. You're gonna be the earliest person to ever do that, and you know what? I need you to pass it. I need you to pass it because I see so many dead people like that Guardian over there who I just murdered in front of you casually. I have to kill so many people all the time, just non-stop wrecking people by shoving my fist into their brain hole. And I need you to not be one of the people who I have to brain surgery today. I really need a win here. I really need someone to just not die under my care. I'm a Guardian and it makes me look bad, but, not really. It's kind of my job. So, you're going to go pass it, right? And she's like, yeah. And then she does. The end.
I'll do it for you, abuse daddy.
And then he's like, do you mean me or your actual dad? And then they start laughing and they high five. He's like, that's funny because my dad also was kind of an abusive ass.
If I didn't laugh, I'd kill myself.
All right, Ben. So what else do you want to do? Or
that concludes Demaya's story. So I guess we got to move to
she becomes
cyanide.
cyanide.
So Demaya, when they pass their tests, when they get their first ring, they have to choose a name.
It's got to be rock based though.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to fit the theme.
You can't be like, I want to be Hugh Jackman and be like, yeah, okay. No,
I'm just gonna. No, I'm not gonna be Demaya anymore.
Sulfur.
I'm gonna be X.
I did just think, did anyone ever name themselves Sulfur because like they just had just constant bad gas?
Did you see there was a Galena?
GI upset. There was a what?
There was a Galena.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That's a claimed reference. Well, I guess that's a marked reference. She was in every book. Kind of.
Yay.
That's a series no one has read except us. I'm gonna say this controversial stance: the Servants of Fate series better than 50 Shades of Grey.
I don't know if that's a controversial stance. I think you could probably say most things and be like, better.
Well, then why is 50 Shades of Grey in every airport and Seraphine has been snubbed?
Ben, it's not about how good you are. It's how well you are marketed. Do we have to bring out H.P. Lovecraft again?
I think, yeah, like once a quarter, we gotta drag out the corpse of H.P. Lovecraft and smack it around a little.
I'll teach you to be racist, you piece of fucking shit.
I am Providence. That's what it says on his grave. That's how stupid he was.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like Napoleon saying, I am the revolution, except Napoleon, like, accomplished things in his life and wasn't a total fucking loser.
It's like Napoleon, except you know how Napoleon left his house?
Oh.
Like maybe Napoleon went too far from his house, like maybe to places he wasn't invited. But that truly is the main difference between Lovecraft and Napoleon. Words about books. Deep cut.
So that's the deep lore. How far do you want to go, Ben? I mean,
How far do I
go
want
into
to go?
Cyanide.
Cyanide.
Or we can talk about Essun, because Essun's story is going to be pretty fucking short, Ben.
The only problem is the end of Essun's story is so dependent on Cyanide's story. You have to know who Alabaster is.
What we could do is do most of Essun's story and then be like, bam, we're going to Cyanide. We're going to jump around. We're going to do what the book does.
That is the words about book spirit. I like what you're putting down. Let's do
So
it.
Essun, after she destroyed the city the calm she had been living in, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go chase after my husband, and I will politely ask why he did what he did. And when I know the answer, which is like guaranteed what I think it is, I will brutally murder him. Because fuck that guy. He killed our son. Piece of shit. Hope he dies.
Does anyone object?
I almost thought that it was going to be like a misunderstanding or something. Like, oh, maybe someone else killed him, or maybe he was going to kill his sister. Like the brother couldn't control his power in order to save the daughter. Dad killed his son, didn't really want to do it. No, I don't think that's what happened. I think he just murdered his son because he's a piece of shit.
I considered that too. Why is he keeping Nasun alive? That's what I want to know. The daughter.
Because daughters are better, Ben.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like,
that's because
almost every culture on...
You're a parentless man, and by parentless, like
you mean childless.
Shit, dog.
I have parents.
Fuck.
Look, I'm just saying, most cultures on the planet that would engage in child murder tend to value girls less. I'm not saying that's correct.
Except China now, because they valued girls so less that a substantial amount of dudes are just never going to get laid now. Good job.
Like the stereotype of
women
somebody
can marry up several social ranks on the social ladder now. So, suck it. Anyway,
but the stereotype of like somebody who doesn't value their kid or who would murder their kid is like dads tend to value sons because they carry on the name or whatever, or they have more inheritance rights. Like, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that women historically are more oppressed.
So Uche, that's the name of the dead son. Maybe he was just an asshole. Yeah, you never thought about that. Maybe Uche,
that 8-year-old boy was an asshole.
Nasun's super cool and likes to, hang out and whatever. And Uche goes around earthbending people to death or whatever. He's earthbending small animals.
I'm just so sick of his shit. He comes home every day drunk from preschool. He never pays for anything. Yeah. No, I there's got to be either he doesn't know that Nasun is an earthbender. There's also a derogatory term for them called raga.
Yeah.
Is that how it's said in the book?
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, either he doesn't know or it's more complicated.
Yeah, or he liked his daughter more. The end.
I don't think so.
You don't know.
I don't think so. I think you're biased because you have a daughter.
Because I have the superior gender as a child? Yes.
You're really like... My daughter is objectively the peak of children.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than this. It can never get better than this.
Agreed. Glad we're on the same page.
Your daughter's cool, but like I do value the lives of other children.
Yeah, me too. Just not as much as my daughter, who is best. Look, if it came down to Uche or my daughter, I'm picking my daughter every time.
Well, yeah. But if it came down to your daughter or your son...
Well, I don't have one of those, so...
So I don't have to imagine it. I'm pretty sure my mom, for what it's worth, would 100% pick my sister.
Yeah, me too. I don't even know her.
Honestly, that's a solid investment. My sister is a real hard worker. Like if you're banking your retirement on one of these kids, I understand. But yes, so I don't even remember where we were.
So, Esun has just iced and then left her calm. And then she's chasing after her husband to politely murder him and
Yeah, so
get her daughter back.
this is the part of the book that really drags, if I'm being honest with you.
For sure.
There is a kid.
Yeah, she goes to a way station. There's a kid. Kid's a weirdo.
Well, the audience first sees the kid come out of like some mysterious stone egg that fell to the ground or something, or was shaken loose from the ground. I was unclear on that. And the kid wakes up and he can eat rocks, hence the name Stone Eater.
But I don't think she figures that out till later, because she's like, huh,
No, but
he doesn't
I
eat
knew it
food.
because I'm the reader, and that was the introduction to this kid. But yes, Esun doesn't know that. She just thinks he's a mysterious, very, very, like, ivory white child.
who doesn't seem to ever eat or breathe. Very
and
weird.
creaks when he moves, like stone.
Yeah, very weird. But how can he be a stone eater? Stone eaters are actually very interesting. They're like made of stone, and they can move super fast through the stone, but they move ultra slow in like our space. Like they could travel from one side of an island in like a minute, but it would take them all afternoon to go up a flight of stairs.
Well, so that's the other interesting thing. So the kid names himself Hoa, I think. Hoa?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
okay.
That's his name.
Hoa, we meet other stone eaters throughout the story. He seems different.
Yeah. And he even says, I'm not like them.
Yeah. His ability to move is different, and he seems childlike, though he is probably ancient.
Yeah, he just seems like a really fucking weird kid almost, rather than like a stone creature like the other stone eaters are literally made of stone.
Yeah, well, he is too.
Yeah, but he does something to himself to not appear that way or act that way.
Yeah. So he, from a narrative perspective, he sort of fills. He doesn't take the place of her son, but he provides her something to mother as a way
except,
to like
except
sort of.
she can't be like, you need to eat your peas because you can't eat.
Yeah, but still, she can take care of him, and he wants her to like him, and he acts like a child, and it keeps her from descending into full-blown like murder monster mode. He's sort of helping her retain her humanity by reminding her that there are people who need things from her more than just her capacity for violence.
I mean, she is still gonna totally fuck up her husband, though.
No, and she should. And he is helping her do that because Hoa has the mysterious ability to sense people like Esun.
At great distances. Esun
Yes.
can do it as well, but it's more like up close.
She can
and-
recognize one.
Yeah,
if she sees
and
one.
Hoa makes it very clear that what he does is not what she does.
So things are progressing like painfully slowly. We're getting
Oh,
to
yeah.
see the Earth falling apart. Like
There's also a lot of world building, like there's the strong
Yeah.
backs, there's the University of whatever at whatever, there's the comms make people into breeders. That's some eugenics
well, they
level
talk
shit.
about
Thank you.
well, they talk about all the various jobs you can have. It's eugenics to a
Fuck
point,
boy.
but it's also
People do that? Like, hey, it's me, Ben Fuckboy Humanus.
I mean, that might be a better way to do it. Like, hi, I'm Ben Bookman, Pennsylvania. That gives you everything you need to know about me.
Yeah, but you don't always want to like tell people what your job is. Like,
Well, then you just don't.
yeah, but
Hi,
then-
I'm Ben, Sexy Nurse, Pennsylvania.
I'm Nate. Definitely not having sex for money. Kansas.
I mean, just like, but the thing is, like,
I'm Nate.
breeder,
Slide me a 50 under the door if you want to get freaky. So yeah, there's a lot of world building here. Essun, I'm gonna be honest, doesn't really do much. It's all kind of set
Well, they're
up for the
talking
next
about
book.
like
It feels like.
so the earthquake was on the equator of the planet.
Yeah, that
Essun
normally
is
does not have big ol' fuck you
they're in the middle
earthquakes.
of a plate, so they don't usually have seismic activity.
And they're
So
also where the fulcrum is, so they got just like shitloads of orogeny to just
Yeah.
divert everything away. But not this
So-
time, Ben.
Yeah.
They
So
couldn't divert Yellowstone.
Essun can sense that the continent has basically been ripped in half. There is a gaping wound in the earth, just pouring magma and CO2 and ash into the atmosphere, and that this
And
season
she realizes, yeah, okay, sorry, you go.
and that this season is going to last not years, not decades, but centuries.
Yeah, it might also be like human extinction event.
Yeah, this is one that no one could prepare for, and we probably can't survive. This is dinosaur time. We're gone. But before the Earth kills them, Essun is going to kill her fucking husband, one way or another. It's with that single-minded purpose that she is moving south. They're in the southern mid-latitude, I believe, or the Somidlats, which I think is actually a good piece of language.
Yeah, I thought it was good language. I never could track any of that because she kept talking about like, oh, these people are probably from Highlats, and I'm like, okay.
I used to work for a map-making company, so I was actually
you're
on
just
board with this
fucking
one.
special, Ben.
I actually followed this. You know who I was thinking about the whole time I was reading this?
George R.R. Martin.
John Bierce.
Oh.
If John Bierce has not read this with his like almost romantic love of geology, like this is right up his alley.
Well, Ben, it's now time to say that it's not geology, it's geometry. I didn't like that. It felt a little too much of Dune's Chaumerky. Yeah.
Chaumerky and Chaumeromny.
Everyone knows that astrologry and astromergy and astronomancy, it's like, oh my god, this is one where you could just say astronomy or astrology.
I felt like it was a combination of, and I could be wrong. This would be something I'd actually be interested to ask NK Jemisin. If she ever talked to me.
Come on our podcast.
Yeah, no, that would be the end of your career.
Lower
Don't do that.
yourself to coming onto our podcast.
Yeah. But
I guarantee you'll never win another Hugo Award. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that'll definitely take care of that problem. If you ever wanted to get out of the Hugos, yeah. But no, I thought it was a combination of like the Greek suffix like metri or onomy with the mystery. Could be wrong. Because the only sciences that are
You
objectively
could do that,
valued
Ben,
in this world.
But you didn't have to listen to it.
No,
You had
I
to
didn't
listen to
because I
someone
read
talk
it.
about astrometry.
You didn't have to do that either.
Yes, I did, Ben.
You could have read it with your eyeballs.
Yeah. Can I read while walking? Not easily, Ben.
No. How far did you walk?
I walked every day for 30 to 40 minutes.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not all of us have access to a bike, Ben.
Yes, you do. You do have access if you choose to.
I don't know about that.
You could go out and get a bike tomorrow.
I don't know about that.
Oh, that's
I
right. You
can't
don't know how to
imagine
ride a
that's true.
bike.
Yeah.
But you have access. You just fall over. I told you I found adult training wheels.
Yeah. But you have yet to fix them onto a bike.
Okay, do you need me to operate the screwdriver as well?
Yes, I do.
You're not an actual child. You could put them on your own bike. You could also get one of those hipster tricycles.
The ones
like
that you
big
sit
ones.
down in and your feet are in front of you.
Oh, no, you could do that. Yeah, recumbent bike.
Recumbent bike.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, I know what they're called, Ben.
Well, do you? Because you didn't say the name.
Yeah. thought hipster douche Pike covered it. Anyway, we should also introduce Essun's other companion. It's
No, we're not there yet. We got to talk about the weasel attack.
No,
Are you
because
just gonna
she's there for the weasel attack, you fuck.
They're after the weasel attack.
No, she sees what happens to the weasel, and that's why she's like, I'm traveling.
So the first thing is they're camping. And then people like there's a rustling in the high grass, like the raptor scene from Jurassic Park 2. And people just start screaming and getting pulled under. And then everybody else just starts running. And Essun grabs Hoa and they start running. And they're running and they're running and they're running. And they're like, wait, we actually need a lot of stuff that we left back there. Okay, so whatever happened is probably over now, right? So we're going to go back. We're going to go back and we're going to check it out. Now, I never could have anticipated that it was actually a dire weasel attack.
Okay, yeah, you're out of sequence here because they meet what's her nuts.
No, hear me out.
Yep,
hear me out.
Yep,
hear me
they
out.
meet her.
They come
water.
back. They come back and they're going to get their water. And then
the weasel
they are
attacks
confronted
when she's
with the
there.
weasel. Yeah.
Yeah,
was
she's
getting
already
to it.
there. So
My point is
introduce
there-
her already, Ben. You interrupted
was-
me, and then you told things slightly out of sequence. So
I
that you
didn't
could
tell them
keep talking,
slightly out of
Ben.
sequence.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them slightly out of sequence.
Yeah,
there
you
was
did. You
a weasel
totally
attack,
did.
and then they ran, and then there was a second weasel attack.
Oh my God, Ben. Who cares about the first weasel? Just introduce the character already.
What
Jesus.
do you mean? Who cares about the first weasel?
Who
This is one of the
cares
most
about the first
exciting things
weasel?
that happens in the
It
book.
doesn't fucking
It's
matter.
a
It's
giant
so
weasel
unimportant,
attack. The weasels are tearing people to shreds, Nathaniel. How are you so blasé about this?
Yeah, this shit happens all the time, I'm sure. So let's go back.
Okay.
We meet crazy old lady who smells
We
funny
meet. Yes.
and
we meet
maybe has a penis.
Tonki Binoff Leadership Eumenes.
Whoa! Wow, way to just spoil it, Ben. Yeah, Tonki's some sort of astrometry, geometry, I don't know, some sort of
She's
scientist
geomess.
thing.
She's geomess.
Geometry, yay. So, Tonki is Tonki for the majority of the book until Essun is like, Beanoff! And they're like, oh, okay. I was wondering why they introduced Beanoff in the past, knowing that Beanoff lived in a city that just got nuked at the beginning of the book. But it's like,
so the thing was, in if
Beanoff
you're reading the
made it
book,
out.
if you're reading the book like you should be, that Binoff chapter comes right before the reveal that she's Binoff.
yeah,
Which, yeah, I mean, we told it out of sequence, so I'm telling it out of sequence.
yeah.
Tonki's Binoff.
So, Tonki's
And she's
Beanoff.
been following Essun for 30 years.
Yeah, Tonki was born a male, and her parents are like, all right, well, that's a little too weird for our society. We're going to put you into a college so that we can disown you without disowning you. And then we're going to go get nuked in the future. Bye. And Beanoff is like, that's cool, I didn't want to be a fucking leader anyway. So Tonki's plan was to just kind of like follow them for a little bit, but then sees Hoa turn this dire weasel, the one that actually matters and people remember when they go back over this book, to stone.
So what Hoa does is the dire weasel is about to eat them. Hoa walks up and he holds his hand out to it. And the dire weasel bites his hand, and as soon as it gets a taste of Hoa's blood, it turns to stone. And Hoa's blood is still present in little droplets on the dire weasel. It is the only thing that did not turn to stone. It's also not called a dire weasel. There is some like name that Jemisin put a lot of thought into, but I don't remember it.
Wow, Ben. You remember the first totally useless weasel attack, but you don't even know what they're called.
What are they called?
I don't care, Ben. That's the point.
That's what
The
I
point
thought.
is Hoa stones one of them. turns them to stone. That's the important part. The first
the
weasel
point-
attack is inconsequential, Ben.
I disagree. I very
Well,
much
let's
think
run
that-
away and then let's go back and then we run into Tonki. Or we could just say they run into Tonki.
Please join the Words About Books Discord and tell me if you think a giant man-eating weasel is worthy of remembrance.
Yeah. But go into the Discord and say if 2 weasel attacks are worthy of remembrance. The first attack, they run away and then they circle back around to get their supplies. Whoop-de-fucking-do. You can cut
I'm
that out in the
genuinely,
summarization and just
I
go to
have
the second
never
weasel attack where the
related to
weasel
you
is
less.
turned to stone. And you meet the character. The first weasel attack is totally pointless. I didn't even remember it because of how useless it was.
I
You
feel
just
like I'm
go
talking
into
to
the
an
we
alien.
ran into Tonki. That's
This is
right,
insane.
Ben.
This is insane.
Yeah,
I can't
you're
relate
insane.
to you. I don't understand you. I have.
You don't even remember what the weasels are called, Ben. You have no room to talk. If it was that important, you would have remembered their name. It wasn't. Checkmate, Ben. Yeah. Yeah. You're looking it up, aren't you?
I'm trying.
That's what I fucking thought.
I don't have the words. Googling what are the 5th season weasels called is not yielding the results I hoped. Yeah. So Tonki wants to study. She has always wanted to study Essun because we will find out, and this is kind of part of Cyanite's story, but we'll find out that there's some relationship between Essun and a dead civilization's technology. Those obelisks we mentioned from Demaya's story, they'll come back into play, but we're not going to have time to get into it this episode.
Yeah, but Essun is supposedly dead, right? Cyanite supposedly died, and then Essun came around. But Tonki found out that Essun was in fact alive because there were 3 obelisks slowly converging on her location, and it triangulated her position.
Yeah, so there are these obelisks that hover in the sky, and nobody knows what they are. They're some relic of a past civilization, but they just kind of operate on their own.
Yeah, you don't mess with them. You don't want to fuck around and find out. Just like Mass Effect, Ben. Secretly a very smart game. Thank you.
I don't know why you keep acting like I attack Mass Effect.
Because you do, Ben.
Where? I just don't want to read Mass Effect books.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't, would you? Dick.
Do you?
Alright. Only one, anyway. Where are we doing? Alright, so then they start wandering from comm to comm, and they end up in a geode, Ben. That's the end of her story for now.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the geode next time, I think.
Alright.
But yeah, basically what you need to know is that Essun winds up traveling with Hoa, who is a stone eater, but nobody really quite knows what his deal is because he looks different from most stone eaters. And Tonki, who was Binoff, who is a mad scientist, essentially.
Yeah. Who smells really weird. Anyway.
She doesn't shower frequently.
Probably should. I imagine her son had a lot of folds. Need to be cleaned.
Okay.
It was fucking gross when I listened to it. I was like, oh, good. It's my job at the nursing home all over again. Thank you.
Oh, dear. Nathaniel.
Yeah, I've seen some shit, Ben.
I believe you. Nathaniel.
All right.
Nursing home.
So,
Midwest.
we're going to end there, I guess. We'll pick up with Cyanite, arguably the main character of the story, because all this stuff happens to her. And
Yeah.
then we'll bring it back home with the end of Essun's plot. And yeah.
The
What else,
cliffhanger.
Ben? Yeah, cliffhanger.
So yeah, I guess we could probably end it there. So
Shout out our patrons,
yep.
Ben.
Stay tuned next time for a part 2. And it is now that point of the episode where I have to tell you a little bit about our Patreon. A, that it exists at patreon.com/WABpod. And B, that one of the benefits if you contribute way too much money to it is that I will shout you out at the end of the episode. And the people who have contributed enough to earn that shout out are... Let's start with John Bierce, actual author and fan of geology. If you haven't read this book, John, you personally should. John Bierce was on our podcast. He allowed us to interview him, and he talked a lot about
Sorry,
geology.
John, you will never win a Hugo because of that. I'm so sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
know if
that's
that
the
was
curse.
One of the things that
No
you wanted,
author who has appeared on Words About Books has ever won a Hugo.
But if you do, I'm willing to say it was the Words About Books bump.
And of course, we have Shy with a Y on TikTok. Then we have Jamie of the If You Want the Gravy. We have Jamie Gravyman blog site.
He ate icy cereal.
He
The
did,
cereal
and
that cools as you eat.
Yeah, and we can say no more about it. You have to read Jamie's review of the icy cereal on the If You Want the Gravy blog. We also have Jamie Walker, who only requires that we say hello. Hello, Jamie Walker. Then we have Isekai Sensei Sama of the That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster podcast.
Okay.
I don't think I've left anyone out.
No. No, you got everyone.
You have any good note to end on?
I'm just gonna wave my orogeny in the air.
I always have a process. Everything I do is thought through carefully and thoroughly. And
Okay.
not just to annoy you. I have deep meanings and intentions.
As he beats his mic.
I didn't beat my mic. I accidentally knocked a cup of tea into it.